Thinking happens to you, but you are not your thinking mind. Now, when you realize that, you begin taking life less seriously. You know, our mind is so tricky. It's so tricky that it makes you believe quite a number of things. Sometimes you interact with people, and before you know it, the narrative you are having is like kind of your narrative, and like you make it your truth, like by focusing on that thought. You understand? Like thinking happens to us all the time. Like that is the mind. You get? Just like, let me say, just like we breathe all the time, like we're always breathing. Now that's thinking. Like it's always psh, psh, psh. You understand? So the beauty of all of it is the fact that we can choose which thoughts to focus our attention. Isn't that beautiful? Let me tell you something. Someone will come to you and tell you something, let me say a sad story, and somehow your mind will create a narrative around that, and it will want to make it your truth. You get? Like, oh, bad things happen, this has happened to somebody, what if it happens to you? Now you have to prepare for it, and for now you're worrying about someone's worry or someone's issue. You're going online, you read something like, hey, this and this is taking place here, and before you know it, your mind is on it. Like it revolves around it. It makes like more and more thought around it, and before you know it, you are stressed over something you found online, something that is not you, but something you found online, and you're really very stressed about that. The beginning of freedom is you knowing that you are not your thinking, and you can choose which thoughts to focus your attention. How can you do that? Well, you've got to learn how to meditate. You've got to learn how to expand your spirituality. Honestly, for me, prayer never worked for me, because prayer made me feel like I wasn't okay. I felt like there was a helper, but that helper wasn't doing enough for me. Like, if he's there and he answers all the prayers, why are these bad things happening to me? That is the question. Why is something bad happening if he's there and he's looking at me? But something that has worked for me is meditation. With meditation, I've learned to accept that life in itself, the nature of life is full of like problems, and that is what life is. But my helper, God, grants me the strength, the techniques to solve those problems. And that is what makes it beautiful. You get? So with meditation, it's different. You get to choose where to focus your attention. And when you're not focusing your attention on something, then you are meditating. Then you are, it's more like occupying space, like being part of this universe, being part of the whole. You get? I want to give you kind of like an example. Think about, like, if you're to worry about everything that happens around you, somehow the mind finds a way to create problems around other people's problems. Like, you'll be jazzing with someone and they're like telling you their sad stories or something that is really not nice, and before you know it, the mind is going to make a problem about that. Like, oh, you don't care, you're supposed to be worrying for them, you're supposed to be helping them solve their problem. What if it happens to you? It could happen to you, karma is a bitch, all that. It twists it until you find yourself in a position where you are worried, for something that is not even yours. You understand? Like, for something that's not even in your life, you're worried about it. It's so absurd that this worrying mind doesn't really create solutions around that problem, but it just wants to keep on worrying about it and create more problems. And when you're done with this, then something else will come up. You get? Like, that is the mind. It kind of consumes everything without you knowing. And when you do not know that you are not your mind that consumes everything around you and makes problems and twists and makes thoughts around you, when you do not know that you are not that mind, now that is the beginning of suffering. That is the beginning of you being worried and miserable. That is misery. But when you realize that you are not that mind, like that mind, okay, thinking happens, you all these thoughts can come, but you are not those thoughts. You can choose which thoughts to focus your attention at. Like, the thoughts will be there, you cannot fight them. You can't fight thought. It will come with more energy, you get? But you just let it be. Like, let it be. Whichever thoughts are taking place, let them be. And then after, you know where to focus your attention. You know where to focus your attention. You know where to focus your will. You understand? And really, that is like the secret of like the most successful people. They don't focus on everything that is going on around them. You understand? Honestly, if you're to like go deep on that, but I won't. So from today, you have got to exercise the technique of thinking without being identified by the movement of thought. Like you let thinking be without defining yourself using the thoughts that are happening to you, without defining your reality using the thoughts that are happening to you. Good days happen, bad days happen, miserable days happen, great days happen. Can you go through all that without letting the mind define those days for you? Like, hey, okay, the day is already bad, something bad is already happening. Why the heck is the mind making more problems around that? And sometimes it's so funny that this mind is going to connect whichever problems are happening right now to the future. Like whichever, your bad day, maybe you're going through something, it's going to connect now to the future, and it's going to make you believe like, oh, your whole life is ruined simply because of one bad day. And it creates problems around it, and it links it to the future, and before you know it, you feel like, okay, why am I even living? And that is one of like the causes of suicide, because people are hopeless. They're going through bad days, their mind twists it and connects it to the future, and before you know it, they feel like, okay, why am I even living? Because I mean, my whole life is already like, I'm already done. Nothing is ever going to come out of me. Like, you understand? So hey, are you ready to disconnect from your mind? Are you ready? Let thinking happen to you, but don't let yourself drown in that thinking. Thinking is more like, when you're in the water and you're swimming, and that water is like thinking. That is how it is. It's there. It doesn't go out. Even when you fight it, it doesn't go. It will stay. But can you be while that thinking is going on? Can you not be that thinking, but can you be while that thinking is going on? Whatever you do, can you like focus on that, focus your attention on that, and let thinking be, but don't believe the thoughts that come to you. That's our message for today.